I wanted to bring today's episode to the podcast. This is our series on faith and spirituality. Today we're digging into energy, Reiki, intuition. Really, how do we get into our intuitive heart space so we can feel that sense of calm and peace, and then that just really quiet knowing that everything will be fine as we are navigating the fertility journey. Exciting for you to listen to this episode. Registration is now open for our free fertility challenge. This live fertility challenge starts on Monday, November the 8th. Go to fertilitydietfreebie.com. That's fertilitydietfreebie, FREEBIE.com to register. And in this live 5-day challenge, you'll learn which foods are right for your fertility so that you can prepare for pregnancy success, which foods could be harming your fertility so that you don't waste time consuming the wrong diet, simple steps you can implement right away so that you can optimize your preconception health and get pregnant naturally. I've worked with a chef with a nutrition background to help prepare these fall and winter recipes that will help prepare your body for a baby. This challenge is for you and your partner. Go to Fertility Diet Freebie. That's fertilitydietfreebie.com to join. There's a lot of information about which supplements are right for fertility. And like most couples I speak with, you are probably taking a lot of supplements. But are these supplements optimizing or harming your fertility? That's why we recommend professional grade supplements without harmful dyes, fillers, or top allergens so that you can prepare your body in the best way for pregnancy. And as you may know, we take a functional approach to fertility. And while supplements are included in your customized protocols, which are based on testing, they are only part of the equation because there's no pill you can take that will out-supplement the basics, such as poor diet, dysregulated sleep, either moving too much or not enough, and not dealing with chronic stress. So we do recommend basic supplements for both men and women. And these are essential starters that you need to have right now to optimize your preconception health. And I'm excited to offer you a special discount at our Fab Fertile store. You'll receive 15% discount on our professional grade supplements. So simply go to Fab Fertile Store. That's FAB fertilestore.com to access the basic supplements so that you can prepare your body for pregnancy success without wasting time and money on supplements that may not be right for you. Go to Fab Fertile Store. That's fabfertilestore.com and save 15% on your order. Hey there. Thanks so much for listening to the Get Pregnant Naturally podcast. And I've got a favor to ask you. If you are enjoying learning about the functional approach to fertility, consider going to iTunes and rating and reviewing the podcast. This is how it helps the show reach more people that are struggling with infertility, knowing that there's another approach that really can get to the bottom of why it's not working in the first place. So all you need to do is, if you're on the app or the desktop, just go in and consider leaving a 5-star rating and leave a review. And there is step-by-step instructions in the show notes showing you exactly how to do that. So if you can just take a few minutes, just take the few minutes right now. You can pause this recording, come back, leave the review. It would really mean the world to me and help others that are on the fertility journey as well. Take care. I didn't need to go to donor eggs. Obviously, I don't regret it. I have beautiful children. I could have done things differently, restored. I was still cycling back in my 20s. I could have looked at my health, the environmental toxins, the stress I was under.
Many, many women are being told their eggs are too old. That's often merely an assumption that's not based on actual evidence. The reason being that there is no direct test of egg quality. You can't test egg quality.
It's the man who's got a food sensitivity or he has a zinc deficiency.
Like, there can be a root cause to these symptoms that are, quote unquote, period problems, that the doctor will pass you a pill without any question of why.
And some part of you knows that if you can reframe your journey from not want to struggle, or if it is struggle, learn how to embrace the struggle. Learn how to embrace it.
Most conditions in the child occur during the 9 months of development. It's the genetic switches are turned on or turned off, and they're pre-programmed. So you are in such a powerful, amazing position to do amazing things for your kids.
Why is IVF the first step? Because we believe it should be the last step. Welcome to Get Pregnant Naturally, where functional medicine and natural fertility solutions will help you get pregnant and have your baby. Hey everyone, I'm Sarah Clark, founder of Fab Fertile, and we have Nichole Causey here with us. Hey Nichole.
Hello.
Hey, so Nichole is our energy healer, Reiki master. So as part of your couples coaching program, you receive either a energy healing session or a faith-based couples coaching session. So today we are talking about the energy healing session. So I'm just going to have Nichole share a little bit about herself and how she got into being a Reiki master. And then we'll talk about what you can expect with a session when you book the session with Nichole. So go ahead.
Perfect. Thank you, Sarah. I appreciate it. So I originally got into Reiki about 15 years ago, and it was a tool that I used at a time when my mom and my stepdad were divorcing. I was a teenager, so I had a lot of emotions happening, and around the same time, my boyfriend broke up with me. So you can imagine as a teenager, and now I'm looking back and like, that wasn't a very big deal. It was really the divorce that my parents were going through that really triggered this whole scenario. But I eventually went to Reiki 1, my mom. And during that class, it just felt very aligned to me. I was doing things and learning things that felt very natural. So that was really what I call the beginning of the end. I started doing Reiki on myself at that point and started doing it on my mom. And ever since then, it just kind of took off. A couple of years after that, I did the second level of Reiki, and there are 3 total levels when you become a Reiki master. So I did the third level in about 2016, I believe it was, and I opened up my private practice then. It was right after I had my second son, and again, it was another kind of emotional moment for me. I had some postpartum depression, and I just really needed to get back to my inner core and my authentic self. And Reiki was a really big avenue for me in figuring out exactly what it was that I wanted to do, but also really giving me a tool to be able to help people. So that's kind of how I got started. And ever since then, I've had my practice here in Florida, and I also do it obviously at a distance as well. And it's something that's really just felt in great alignment with me and always has. And it's always kind of my foundational piece to my energy healing practice.
Awesome. I love it. So as far as the session goes, let's just break down what they can expect. So this is a couples Reiki session. We do ask that both couples be open-minded to this. This is what all we ask is an open mind. If you're not feeling it, do not feel that you have to do this session. Just let your coach know that maybe you'd rather do the faith-based session, or we could do coaching in lieu of this. But if you're open-minded and you're feeling it's right for you, we encourage you to do this with your partner. So essentially you would, so I'll let Nichole share with you how this would start off.
Perfect. So what I really highly recommend is you get an app on your phone called Insight Timer, or you can use YouTube. And either way, just put on some meditation music that's calm and lay down with your partner. I'm hoping right next to you so you two can connect and your energy fields will be together. And all you have to do, all I want you to do is just relax for 30, 45 minutes and really just try to get your brain to calm down and soothe your body. And while you're doing that, I'll be off in my office here and just working on both of your energy fields. So you, as the person who is receiving, don't have to do anything but lay there and relax. And I'll be doing all of the busy work. We won't be on video or anything. So I'll be doing all the busy work, taking all the notes, kind of tapping into your energy system and seeing what I can clean up from my end and seeing if there's anything helpful that I can provide for you for feedback, which I will do on a video. So I take notes throughout that whole session. And then at the end, I tell you those results in about a 5-10 minute video. And I also like to pull some oracle cards at the end because it's like they give that final stamp of like approval of the whole session. They usually wrap it up nicely and give a final like outcome and to do and summary of our whole session together, which is always so funny to me, even now 5 years later, because it's always a summary of what we've done in the session. And it's nice to just get that validation for me and for you.
Awesome. And I just experienced a session with Nichole and it was awesome. So hope you enjoyed as well. So, you'll receive a link from your fertility coach and then you can just book the session through there. Nichole has some questions. So you just fill out the form and, then she can give you the best healing session. Any other final thoughts then, Nichole?
That's really about it. I will say that I love to answer any questions that you might have after you watch that video. I will put it on YouTube and it's an unlisted link, so only you will be able to see it. And of course, I'm always open for any questions or any feedback if you have any. So that's it.
Yeah. And if this session resonates with you and you want more, you can just let us know and we can, Nichole can reach out to you, and she has packages available as well. So if you wanted to look a little bit deeper, you can do that as well. So, thanks again, Nichole, and everybody enjoy the session with Nichole. Hey, Nichole, excited to have you on the podcast.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. Can you share with us really how you came to do this work?
Yes. So I actually started my Reiki journey about 15 years ago. And as I was thinking through this today, I realized that every time that I really truly turn back to my spirituality and my roots in spirituality, it's when I have a really dark period in my life. And the first time that I got introduced to Reiki was when I was a teenager. So to me, that dark time then was when I was going through a breakup. So now I'm like, oh my gosh, I was 15. That's ridiculous. But now it's funny because I've seen the same thing happen over and over again, where as I became a mother, the same thing happened. I really returned to my roots of spirituality. And each time I just kept refinding Reiki over and over and over again. So in the last 5 years or so, I decided to actually make Reiki my business and stop turning to it in dark times and just do it all the time, because it felt really good to me and it felt like a good foundation for me to get into.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. And it's something same for me too, where you're like, oh, wait a minute. I find for me, I don't know why this is seasonal, but it seems to be some sort of seasonal thing. In the summertime, I'm like, I just love the summer and I'm outside a little more. And so I've stopped meditating. I've stopped doing a spiritual practice. And then I'm like, oh, geez, what is missing here? Even though being outside in nature to me is kind of a spiritual practice in itself. But I'm like, oh, I've missed this whole part. That's why I feel a little bit, the neck starts to get kind of a little more tense. I'm a little crankier. Things just start to feel out of alignment. And then that you totally forget about your intuition. I'm like so stuck up in my like logical brain. Let's, figure everything out instead of like, let's get into that heart space and that intuition piece. So
exactly.
So how do we deepen our intuition, especially in this case on the fertility journey, when you may have been told that, we're dealing with those tough cases like low AMH and high FSH and diminished ovarian reserve, premature ovarian insufficiency. You may have been told that, donor eggs are your only option. You will struggle. This is going to be hard, difficult. It may not even happen for you. I'm like, how do you lean into that, the spiritual during this time?
Yeah. When I go through those periods of darkness and when my clients go through that same thing, I first of all remind them that it's okay to throw a fit and throw a tantrum. And quite literally, it's 100% okay to go throw yourself on the bed and scream like a 2-year-old, because we need that emotional release first, I think, before we can do our emotional work. And if that is literally you throwing yourself on the bed and just screaming and letting yourself cry for a few minutes, do it. 100% do it. And the second thing that I would say is really returning to that intuitive piece. Once you've gotten through some of those deeper, darker, more heavy emotions, you can really turn back to your intuition and return to the basics. And that's what we were talking about just a few minutes ago, getting back into meditation. And meditation doesn't need to be where you're sitting perfectly like a monk and not having a thought in your head, right? That's so not even what needs to happen. Insight Timer is a free app that's available for Android and Apple. They have hundreds of thousands of meditations on there that are guided, or they just have music. And you can sit for literally 1 minute to hours and meditate. But also those non-traditional things that you were just speaking about as far as meditation, being outside. You can go take a walk and you can count your footsteps. You can go to the beach and count the waves. You can count the number of birds that you see or the red birds. There are so many different ways to do it. But the more that you go internal, the more you're making time and space to hear yourself, because these days, and I'll get off on a tangent, but these days we don't do that because we're always plugged in and turned on. So the more that we turn off and shut off everything else but our brain and our thoughts, the better it is that we're going to be able to build our intuition and listen.
Yeah. And I've personally just been feeling a little stressed myself because I'm moving my daughter across the country here. So it's just a busy time. The house looks like a bomb went off in it as I'm recording this almost at the end of August. But I went for a walk today and I was like, oh, I would live by this little pond. And I was just literally focusing on the sounds of the pond. And I was like, oh
Yes.
yeah. And the other day when I was outside, I was the opposite. I was like, what is that bug? Like, what's that bird making that noise? That's really annoying. I'm like, okay, Sarah, you need to go.
Right. But so you're
Self-care.
demonstrating that you have this awareness. And so you're realizing, and I really believe that meditation is really helpful for two things, which is that inner awareness and our intuition. So when we have that kind of like space already built up in our brain, those neural pathways built up of awareness and our intuition, it's just so much easier to notice that, you know, the negativity is coming out, and let's go back and correct it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And so how do we lean into hope? So we talked about, you know, being told by your, you know, your RE or your OBGYN that, you know, you will struggle. This is going to be hard. Potentially a low chances of success.
Yeah.
And so those sort of phrases and well-meaning advice, you know, they're just telling you as they see it. If they're not trained in the functional approach, they just don't know how powerful, you know, mind, body, spirit is. How do we lean into the hope of this will work and using it from a spiritual side of things?
So what I really recommend is always returning to gratitude. And in those deep, heavy, dark moments, it doesn't always feel like that's possible. So throw your fit first, and then logically remember that your brain cannot have negative feelings the same time that you're processing positive emotions from gratitude. So you can't be doing those two things at once. You can truly choose to focus after you're fit. Please let go of your negative emotions. Don't ignore them. But truly focusing back on gratitude for the simple things. I put literally every single day in my gratitude journal how I'm grateful for coffee, because coffee is my life. Okay. Like there are times where I'm like, wow, I'm so grateful for my limbs and my fingers and my eyesight. Like, you know what I'm saying? There are two different extremes here. So if you're having a day where you're just grateful that you have coffee, that sounds great. That's a good plan right there. So that's my first step. And then the second one is I will let you guys in on a little secret. It's not really a secret because I tell all my clients, but you know, that's fine. In Reiki, we learn these principles as Reiki masters and practitioners, and each one of them say just for today. So for me, I have to have that reminder go off on my phone every single day at 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. And the whole thing is just for today, blah, blah, blah. So I won't go into all of them, but I'll give you the first two. Just for today, do not worry. Just for today, do not anger. So when I see those go off on my phone, I feel like I can take a deep breath, because even though I know this about Reiki and these principles, I can still believe that like I can worry about it tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't have to worry about it right now. I'm just going to let it go and I'll worry about it tomorrow.
Yeah, it's interesting because we start going into that planning and then the catastrophizing and the ruminating, and we're going back and forth, typically more catastrophizing of the future. Like, oh my goodness, you know, the next cycle, is it going to work? And
Exactly.
And it just gets you in this very overwhelming place, right? So that taking it one step at a time.
Exactly. Yeah. So I invite you guys all to think, you know what, just for today, do not worry. Just for today, do not worry. Do not anger.
Yeah, I like that. And then what about if we're feeling broken, or maybe we even feel that this journey is a punishment? You know, it's hard. Other people seemingly have things so easy, you know, with having children, while, you know, we have to, you know, spend tens of thousands of dollars. We've got to change our diet and lifestyle. It can feel, you know, really hard. So how would leaning into the spiritual help?
So for me, what's really powerful is writing down how I feel, no matter how it is. I like that expression of writing how I feel, and that can last for as little or as long as I want. And at the end, I either mail it. And by mail it, I mean, I just put it in an envelope and I go drop it off at the local post office with no return address, no address, no stamp, nothing.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. And I don't know whatever really happens with these letters that I've been sending out to various people. But it feels really good to do that. And also, so I'll either write out all these things and pretend to mail it, or I will write out all of these things and then I will burn it, because, safely, I will say. Mm-hmm. But because those two things are such a big release for our body and getting it out of our throat, that's what I would love to recommend is doing that, getting it out of your body and getting it out of your soul. And then the second thing takes kind of a bit of a setup. So I'd recommend that people really do it now, today, when they listen. Think of one person that you can count on that's supportive. And this one person, you're going to want to think of like, how do you want them to help you? Do you want them to just listen? Do you want them to help you with solutions? Do you want them to just be positive? Think through exactly what it is that you want. I have a friend who just went through cancer, and I was her positive person that no matter what, she would call me and I would just be positive. She would vent. I would just be the positive one and listen. So think of those boundaries. Think of what kind of support you want from this person and tell them, this is a role that I need you to play because I might have a moment where I feel broken down and I need your support. I need your positivity. I don't need you to fix anything, or maybe you do want them to help you fix something. But, think through that and figure out what it is that would really help you in those moments and tell that friend that that's what you need to lean on them for.
I would like to invite you and your partner to a Supercharge Your Fertility Discovery Call. This call is for you if you meet at least one of the following criteria. You've been trying to get pregnant for at least 2 years. You've been through at least one failed IUI or IVF. This call is for action takers. If you're not ready and you wait, the risk is you'll need to wait 2 to 3 months for a spot to open up. If you're seriously considering work with us, go to fabfertile.com. That's fabfertile.com and click on Apply Here. That's Fab Fertile, fabfertile.com, and click on Apply Here. Then you'll be booked in and ready to spend 30 minutes to give you the action plan to getting pregnant naturally. I think it's really helpful that asking for support and then thinking about what we want, we need. Because I think a lot of times people are like, oh, that person didn't say something, or they were rude, or they don't seem to care, and they're thinking about themselves. And meanwhile, we haven't actually asked someone told them what we need, because we probably don't even know what we need to be, to begin with. So it's like that vicious circle.
Yes, exactly.
And people aren't mind readers, and it is really about educating people around you. Because if you haven't gone through the fertility journey, people don't really understand it. So it is I like that idea of picking one person, and that person can be, can help you. If you don't have that one person, obviously, having a coach or a support team can be, can be that as well.
Exactly.
So in some of your sessions that you do with our clients, you, will pull. Can you just kind of run us through that, kind of like what it looks like for some of the intuitive hits you're getting? And then I think you also pull cards, at that. So how do these things really help us get into that little heart space? Not a little heart space, big heart space.
Yeah. So the sessions are all obviously distance. So what that means is you are not getting a Zoom link. You're not getting any link of any kind. We won't actually have any contact during the session. I'll send you an email, and your instructions will be in there, but they're simple. Just relax during your session time, either yourself or with your partner. I would suggest that you download that Insight Timer app and find a really nice meditation or just calming music for the 45 minutes, and really just try to be at peace. You don't have to do anything other than that. And during that whole session, while I'm doing the work that I do on my end, I write notes for you guys, and then I take a video at the end. And the video does include oracle cards. I love using oracle cards because they tend to really give a concrete, supportive answer at the end. Like, I've said XYZ, and then they're also saying the same thing. It's magical every time. And some specific examples of that, especially with your client, Sarah, are the inner child work that they can do with their partner. So a lot of what I recommend is that they work with their partner in requiring fun. So getting back to the basics of childhood, which is bubbles, if you're me, chalk, water balloons, things like that, really remembering to bring joy into those times, and seeing what else the cards have, because some of these cards, they're all oracle cards, but some of them have very specific things to do that will help you, like go drink some more water, go to the beach, go do yoga. Some of them are that simple, and some of them are like the inner child work, where it requires some more thinking.
I like the inner child piece, because so many of us are like, let's research, put on our little research hat, and we're going to do all the, the checklist, and we're going to keep doing all these changes. And then we forgot to have fun along the way.
Exactly. And, you know, when you're going through times of darkness, especially together as a couple, it is really hard to not take it out on each other. And so that inner child piece and remembering that you have to create fun is really vital here, because without it, it's just going to allow that negative energy to brew and get larger and larger and larger.
Yeah. So how do we, and so these part of these sessions, they do them together. You can just lie down together and you do the energy sessions. So how do we turn to our partner and not turn away from our partner during the fertility journey? Anything that's sort of in sessions, not that you're going to give anything away, but like, what are you kind of, is there themes or anything you're seeing there?
Yeah. And so, and I will say too, that when we do the couples Reiki, I say we, because I feel like we are a team, even though we don't have contact until through email afterwards. But really, I create this beautiful energy framework, if you will. You've got, you know, of course, the woman and the man traditionally, you've got their own two separate energy entities, and then the third energy that they create together. So each one of those gets worked on in the Reiki session. And usually what I see when those energies are merged is that inner child aspect and the bringing fun together. That's a big piece of it. The other pieces of it are that having fun aspect, but also having that space to connect emotionally outside of the fertility journey. Mm-hmm. And specifically what I mean by that is not talking about the fertility in this way, but really like doing other things that give you emotional connection. So there's an app on my phone that I use, and it's called Paired. And it's questions. It's one free question every day for you and your partner. And it's questions that range from serious things like your bank account balance to like, what's the most fun thing you guys have ever done together? So it's really a way that my partner and I have personally connected and turned inwards toward each other. And the second thing is they have these amazing decks. They're not oracle cards, because I do preach about oracle cards all the time. But these are cards for couples. There are two different brands that I really love, the Intimacy card deck, and then the other one is called the And they're really cool because you can buy them, these beautiful decks that are full of questions for your partner, and you can buy them on different subjects. So you can buy more serious emotional ones, or you can buy funny ones and ask each other funny, ridiculous questions. I would recommend that you get both, because you never know what kind of mood you're going to be in, and if you want to be serious or if you want to be funny, and really create that bubble and that safe space of intimacy and emotional connection together.
Can you just name those card decks for us again?
Yes, Intimacy card deck, and I believe that one is red. And then the second one is called the And. So it's like the, and then there's a space, like a fill in the blank space, and.
Are those ones on Amazon or?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There's so many on there. It's super fun. You'll be busy for hours looking at all the different categories that you can buy.
Yeah, so really to start the conversation, because sometimes the conversation, yeah, as you say, may just be all about the fertility journey. It's interesting during this period of time where connection is so important, and a lot of times we will withdraw. We will withdraw from our family, from our friends, because it's very painful to be around them, and we may even withdraw from our partner because they may handle it differently than we are. Exactly. So those sort of things to bring us back to why we're doing this to begin with, because the journey can tear you apart or bring you closer together, and really. And that's where the oxytocin and the love feeling and the intimacy piece, because it could become very not transactional, but very, robotic almost, where you're like, wait a minute, let's do it around a certain time. Whereas, how do you create that intimacy?
Exactly. And those subjects are just fun because there's such a wide variety that it's great to have that connection, like you're saying, outside of, the fertility journey together, making a different space for each other. And
how do we get that little butterfly? Like now it's interesting. I don't know. I get these like intuitive hits. I feel like it's all freaking day long where I just have this like butterfly thing. I'm like, oh yeah, that's it. And so now I can just almost like get them on command. I don't know. It's like strange. Sometimes for other people, it's hard to do that. So like, where would you start? Sorry with that.
I swear I don't just play with cards all day, Sarah, but here's another card deck idea.
Oh, there you go.
This is hilarious. I'm just now realizing like I actually do play with cards all day. So a regular card playing set, where they're like half of them are blue, half of them are red. Just a regular deck of cards. And what I want you to do is just pull 3 cards and start by feeling or guessing, if you will, into which one is blue or which one is red or which one is an odd number or which one is an even number. You get what I'm saying? So kind of building your intuition based on what that card is. And obviously you can't look at it until after you've made your guess, but that's kind of a fun, no pressure game. There's also another thing that you can do with your partner or with a friend where they're thinking of a color and you have to guess that color. Now, in the beginning, you're going to be wrong so many times. It doesn't matter because you're building your intuition. It's like when you're meditating and you're rebuilding neural pathways in your brain, it's the same thing for your intuition. You're going to be wrong in the beginning. You're going to be jittery, but it's fun once you kind of break through that and really start listening to those little tiny hits because they will come to you, even when you're just doing something silly like guessing a color that someone else is thinking of or guessing the color of the card.
Yeah, because we're all intuitive. It's not some special person that is. We're all intuitive. I've been working on my psychic abilities myself, and it's literally, we're in these circles and I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah. I literally, like, we're all getting the same hits off of something. It's just freaking,
it's so cool.
Insane. I'm like, wow, where has this been all my life? And it is like this whole other realm and like the energy. Yeah, like feeling energy from people, feeling the energy in the room. And something, sometimes is if you're overly like a highly sensitive person or empathetic, you may like just like suck all that energy into you and then it becomes you. Whereas having like a grounding cord and be able to shoot it down there, some of those different, energies so they don't kind of contaminate you, or you can even sometimes like in the shower, just see them washing all away. Cause sometimes we just get stuck with this other stuff or even our own energy that just keeps swirling around with us. Anything on that one?
Yes. And I will say we are all born with those capabilities. Just like you said, it just takes practice and education and dedication and support from, whatever your support team is. So as far as that, yes, as far as releasing, I love the shower releases, with the water going through the top of your head. That's your crown. It's washing away everything down into the drain, and Mother Nature will transmute that energy and change it into positive energy. So that the journaling is really powerful for me and for my clients. And also there are much easier things that you can do in your environment to make sure that your environment is always vibrating at a high level. And by vibrating at a high level, I mean that the negative emotions are very heavy. So the more that you can put in some positive energy into your environment, the better it's going to counteract that negativity. So frequency music, playing high vibrational frequency music, all you have to do is look it up on YouTube, and there are plenty of them. Something like that is very simple. Something like carrying around rose water spray is very simple. That will also cleanse your energy. Taking baths with Epsom salts will really clear your energy. Those are simple things, but they're, again, kind of what we were saying earlier, the simple things that we all forget that we can do that are really right there and really easily accessible to us.
Yeah, it really brings you back to yourself. And that instead of this head, that the head space, bring you back to the heart space. And that's that knowing where like, it'll be fine. It'll work. Everything will work out as it's meant to be. And the planning doesn't need to, it's interesting how that kind of comes into place, and you just get into that knowing place and you don't even worry about the planning.
Exactly. You just have to journey right back into that space again.
Mm-hmm. Any final thoughts on our topic today, Nichole?
That's really about it. I really highly recommend those card decks, and that's really all I've got.
Awesome. Yeah, I love this discussion, and really, it's like as part of the series that we're doing here, this the spirituality side of things, and really we're all energy, and whether it's God, universe, whatever it may be for you, there's something in accessing this more, so that can, or that you already are. You don't need to do more of it. You already are this, and it's like, how do you tap into it? So you can. To me, it's always like having that sense of peace and calm. That's where the peace and calm lies.
I agree. I'm the same way.
Awesome. Great. Thanks again.
Thank you.
I regularly speak with 5 to 10 couples per week who are struggling to have their baby. And although we want to help everyone, we only have 4 spots available per month to work with us. I would like to invite you and your partner to a Supercharge Your Fertility Discovery Call. And this call is for you if you meet at least one of these criteria. You've been trying to get pregnant for at least 2 years. You've been through at least one failed IUI or IVF. This calls for action takers. If you're not ready and you wait, the risk is you'll need to wait 2 to 3 months for a spot to open up. If you're seriously considering working with us, go to Fab Fertile, F-A-B Fertile, and click on Book a Free Call. That's Fab Fertile, F-A-B Fertile, and click on Book a Free Call. Then you'll be all booked in and ready to spend 30 minutes to give you the action plan to getting pregnant naturally. There's a lot of information about which supplements are right for fertility. And like most couples I speak with, you are probably taking a lot of supplements. But are these supplements optimizing or harming your fertility? That's why we recommend professional grade supplements without harmful dyes, fillers, or top allergens so that you can prepare your body in the best way for pregnancy. And as you may know, we take a functional approach to fertility, and while supplements are included in your customized protocols, which are based on testing, they are only part of the equation because there's no pill you can take that will out-supplement the basics, such as poor diet, dysregulated sleep, either moving too much or not enough, and not dealing with chronic stress. So we do recommend basic supplements for both men and women. And these are essential starters that you need to have right now to optimize your preconception health. And I'm excited to offer you a special discount at our Fab Fertile store. You'll receive 15% discount on our professional grade supplements. So simply go to Fab Fertile Store, that's F-A-B, fertilestore.com, to access the basic supplements so that you can prepare your body for pregnancy success without wasting time and money on supplements that may not be right for you. Go to Fab Fertile Store, that's fabfertilestore.com, and save 15% on your order. The Get Pregnant Naturally podcast, including show notes and links, provides information with respect to healthy living, nutrition, lab testing, and is intended for informational purposes only. The information provided is not a substitute for medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment, nor is it to be construed as such. We cannot guarantee that the information provided on the Get Pregnant Naturally podcast reflects the most up-to-date medical research. Information is provided without representation or warranties of any kind. Please consult a qualified physician for medical advice and always seek the advice of a qualified healthcare provider with any questions you may have regarding your health and nutrition program.